What's the dumbest thing you were paid to do, and how much were you paid? $175 to do some kind of user study at Netflix. I showed up in the lobby, and then they go, "Actually, we got the data we needed from the studies earlier today. You're free to go." I still got paid. Oh man, I think you actually dodged a bullet there. You might have actually had to watch a Netflix original. I signed up for a medical study. They did a physical and had me do an at-home sleep study to check eligibility. They paid me $150 for doing this part. They called after and asked me if I knew I had sleep apnea. I had no clue. I wasn't eligible for the rest of the study because of it, so I got paid $150 to get diagnosed with sleep apnea. Man, I really gotta figure out how you get into these medical study things, because a lot of them sound like they're pretty simple, and yet you can make a lot of money from them. I got paid $40,000 to not show up at work. It was the financial crisis, and there was a hiring freeze right before I was due to start work. The company I was to work for couldn't honor the employment contract we signed, but it was all very sudden, and my would-be boss felt bad enough about the situation that they offered me half a year's salary as a gesture of goodwill. Geez, that just sounds like a bunch of broken company policy crap. I'm a hobbyist woodturner. It's more of a passion. Once as a joke, early into my hobby, I made a wooden butt plug and posted it on Instagram. Again, as a joke. I immediately had an acquaintance message me asking if I could make her one that was obviously safe for the human body, and various other, business that such an item would interact with. So I did. Totally safe for the human body. She paid me well for it. Later, her followers were messaging me asking if I could make them some. And now that's something I do often. The internet is just such a magical place, isn't it? I tutored for the 21-year-old daughter of a wealthy family and charged around $65 an hour. I warned in advance that I will charge for cancellations if there were less than 24 hours notice. But she would regularly arrange 6-hour sessions or longer, then cancel on the day. I told them and let them off the charge the first few times, but nothing changed, so I thought, screw it. For 6 months or so, I was probably making an extra $400 on average per week just for cancellations. See, there's so many people out there that are so quick to just demonize all rich people and just assume they're all evil. But you can be kind of stupid by doing that, because if you're actually just friends with very wealthy people, sometimes you can actually get a lot out of it. I'm not just talking about like asking them for money. Sometimes they just need somebody to help them with something, and you just happen to be free, and they don't mind throwing a bunch of money at it. When I was like 20, got hired to be an assistant for some event in Hollywood. I carried 1 box of liquor into the place, and they gave me a walkie-talkie and said they'd let me know when they needed me for anything else. I waited a while with no calls, and found that next door they were holding a yoga class for AA members. Poked my head in the door, and they invited me to join them, so I did. After yoga, I went to return the walkie-talkie, and the guy says, we didn't use you at all, did we? I got $60. Yeah, I guess I've never heard of getting on a job, but you don't have to do anything because they forgot they hired you. But I guess that's on them. I was paid $50 to assemble some brand new gym equipment for a friend because her husband had been dragging his feet for months. I opened up the box, pulled it out, and made the easiest $50 of my life because it was pre-assembled. I just took 10 seconds to unfold it and it was done. She was furious with her husband and still paid me despite him. Yeah, geez, if you're gonna procrastinate something, at least make sure it's something worth procrastinating, something that's actually annoying to do. I've had plenty of times where I keep putting something off for so long, and then I finally do it and I was like, oh, that was actually pretty easy. I was paid to be kind of a server for a fancy outdoor dinner party. They wanted me to go around with a plate of drinks and food and offer it to people. When I get there, they tell me the person they hired to cook on the grill never showed, so he wanted me to make that my priority. But I told them I didn't know how to grill anything. I was 17. The woman told me to look helpless and some man would come do it. Every man thinks he's the grill master and wants to show off. So I did, and it worked. I basically got paid to stand next to this guy and thank him every so often, and get him drinks. I got paid over $100 just for a few hours. It was pretty awesome. Well, I mean, grilling isn't really the most difficult thing you can do. One day I just decided I go out to get hamburgers like 3 times a week. I should just start making them at home. And since then, now I eat like 5 hamburgers a week. My friend asked me to clean out his guinea pig cage because he couldn't be bothered that day. In payment, he gave me his copy of Zoo Tycoon 2 for PC. Well, great, now you have a video game where you get to clean other animals' cages. Hang a TV, then make sure that TV worked for the following day, and then take the TV down that day after. Made $1,000. Man, there really are people out there that just have zero sense of frugality, aren't there? I used to work for a PR agency. Every month one of our clients wanted a handful of photos resized for their website. Nothing fancy, just setting the width to 500 pixels in Windows Photo Manager. It was maybe 10 minutes of work every month, but the contract said the minimum amount of time we would charge them for was 1 day. And this was for a full team too, not just me. It must have cost them several £100 every month. I showed the client how to do it several times, and explained that they could save a lot of money doing it themselves. They didn't seem to mind. In the end, I made sure I got it in writing that I'd inform them of their options and let them get on with it. That kind of reminds me, so my grandpa for a long time would always call me and have him come help him with his computer because he can't remember how to open the pictures he wants to look at. So 3 times now I've had to go onto his laptop and open the pictures. And I've showed him how to do it all 3 times. I think he might have figured it out by now, but I could always get another call for it. But I guess they technically pay me a little bit too. I was paid $300 to move my car for a movie that was filming by my apartment. Yeah, man, I don't know what it is about movie crews, but they have no problem just throwing away so much money over everything. They're like, oh, can you come stand right in this spot for like a couple hours? We'll give you like $1,000. I was flown to Paris to do a compliance audit. The systems weren't set up for the audit, couldn't get access, so spent the week being taken to restaurants and shopping. On one of the days, and at the last minute, the company decided to send me into London for a meeting. Literally just to meet people. I missed the Eurostar because I forgot my passport, totally blanked that I was entering another country. They had to rebook the Eurostar. Nothing was achieved out of this trip. No audit completed, nothing came of the meeting. It cost the company $25,000 plus for me to do nothing for a week. Corporate money is ridiculous money. Yeah, I feel like a lot of companies just have like a set budget that they use to like send employees to conventions or something. Because I've heard a lot of stories of people who are like, yeah, I mean, my company spent money to fly me out, got me a nice hotel room just to show up to a convention for a few hours, and then they still paid me a ton for it. It was like the easiest thing ever. Maybe that's why they call it business class instead of first class now, because businesses just love blowing away money. I rented my chicken to a photographer for $50. Well, I mean, what's going to happen if somebody tries to sneak on and take pictures of your chicken without your permission? Are you going to copyright that chicken's image? A rich family paid me $500 minimum a night to babysit their 8-year-old son. I was about 18, certified for child CPR, first aid, and grew up watching my nephews from a young age. I never set a price, just told them to pay me what they thought was fair. The kid was very polite and basically a young adult. I'm not sure if he took etiquette classes or something, but his face lit up when we played Pretend Ninjas for the first time. He slayed 3 of them in one slash. I was also there for his first skinned knee, and he took it like a champ. Just kept saying, oh man, it hurts a lot, but wound up extremely proud of it. One night they called abruptly to have me come sit, paid me in advance, then left $300 for pizza or whatever. You can keep the change too. Then took off for 3 hours. They wanted him in bed an hour after they left, but I gave him 2.5 to play Donkey Kong Country. Overall, dumb, but such good money. 10 out of 10 would babysit again. Male babysitters have it rough though. It got a lot of weird looks. Wow, this sounds exactly like the Malcolm in the Middle where Malcolm has to babysit a bunch of rich kids where he just gets to sit there and watch TV. But then you find out that you're being recorded at all times and that it wasn't so great after all. I got paid $300 to shovel my neighbor's front steps and driveway while she was away on vacation all winter. It did not even flurry once. Man, so many of these are just, I got paid to do nothing. I earned 700 euros monthly for an internship, which consisted of me sitting around all day, waiting for work, which wouldn't come because the company screwed up the internship offer and accidentally hired someone they didn't need at all. So basically I was being paid to take the train in the morning and then back in the evening. Man, this kind of reminds me of one of my old graveyard security jobs I worked, where I got hired on to like watch security cameras, but we only had one location that we were watching, and it was just silent, like all the time. So basically I had this huge computer setup, and I would just play video games all night long, and then maybe have to check an alarm once an hour just to see the wind blowing or something. I'm a therapist, and I often respond to the sights of the things like bank robberies or accidents. When you see on the news that the crisis counselors are on site, that's me. Sometimes it can be intense psychological first aid, but it's often sitting around waiting for someone who wants to come talk. Sometimes I'm just there so the PR people can say that services are available. This is especially true with industrial accidents and layoffs. I get paid significantly more for these types of assignments, sometimes as much as $70 an hour, and the clock starts when I leave my home to travel to the site. I've had multiple days spent riding my motorcycle to the site, reading a book for 8 hours, and riding home and never speaking to a single person. $500 in my pocket for the day. It's crazy what people will pay just to give the image that they're being responsible. 25 years ago, and in Indiana, the law was that in order to operate a nail salon, someone there must hold a full cosmetology license, not just a nail technician license. A nail salon opened next to the hair salon I worked at, and they all had nail technician licenses, and the one who held a cosmetology license would be delayed in Korea for a week for whatever reason. At 18 years old, I was paid $25 an hour to merely sit in a nail salon as the holder of the license. I answered no phones, tended no clients, did nothing but paint my own nails repeatedly, and watch TV for an entire week. It was a sweet, sweet gig. Well, as we can see, all these government regulations are going to great use. I had a WFH gig working sort of as a personal assistant for a rich guy on the opposite coast from me. I did all kinds of wacky stuff for him. For example, one time I had to break up with my boss's girlfriend because he was too wimpy to do it himself. Really weird stuff like that was literally my job. One day, I bought him a new pickup truck, meaning I negotiated the deal and paid for the truck with his credit card. All in all, I'd say the process probably took about 2 weeks, for which I was paid my usual wage at 6 hours per day. No big deal. Somehow, his dad found out about the new truck, and he decided he wanted a new pickup truck too. He called me about a week after I bought the truck for my boss, and said he'd pay me $2,000 to buy a truck for him. I called the same dealership back, spoke to the same salesman, told him what was up, and basically gave me another truck. Same price as before. The salesman was only too happy to comply. It took 10 minutes to make the phone call, and then a day or two to get the title and other paperwork sorted out. So, depending on how you look at it, I made $2,000 for just 10 minutes worth of work. Somehow my boss's rich friend found out about all this. He decided he wanted a new SUV. Hey, you have to buy it for me. I told him the last time I bought someone a vehicle, I got paid $2,000. The friend was basically like, screw it, I'll pay you $3,000, just get it for me. And then he emailed me his wish list. The deal took a little longer, maybe 2 weeks. So I made $5,000 extra in just 2 months buying vehicles for lazy rich people. Man, this is almost like my dream job. I'd love to make a whole job out of just getting paid a bunch of money to do odd things for people. I was told to retrieve a school chicken sandwich from the cafeteria. I was paid $10 for my vigorous labor. Man, who is it that's dishing out all this money for just such nonsense? When I was younger, my geography teacher realized I was the only one paying attention, second to last class on a Friday. Most people were antsy, so he stopped in the middle of his lecture once and said, "I'll give all the change in my pocket to anyone who can repeat back to me what I've been saying this past minute." He tried a few of my other classmates for fun, but the most they could guess was the general topic. He got to me and I was able to recite what he was talking about, and he gave me all his change. I got paid enough money for a carton of chocolate milk and a scone for paying attention. Well, he sounds like a pretty cool teacher, though I'm sure that today there's some weird rules and laws that would make it illegal for a teacher to give a student money for anything. Okay, this wasn't a job or anything, but I got $10 to eat half a watermelon. Alright, like I can kind of understand that it can be pretty difficult to eat a ton of food, but I never understand why people offer you money to eat something that you don't want to eat. I mean, my dad does this all the time too. He's like, I'll give you $1 if you eat this thing that I know you don't want to eat. Or I'll give you $10 to eat this. But I'm just like, how do you gain $10 of value from watching somebody eat something they don't want to? Like, I just don't understand their incentive. I did an event for a National Association for Deaf People, at which they did every presentation in ASL. I'm an audio engineer who specializes in live sound and concerts. I did nothing for 5 days of show, $450 a day. So why would anybody hire an audio engineer for a deaf people conference? I worked as a part-time gopher for the Wildly Rich Artist for about a year, circa 2017. Did all sorts of random, and I mean freaking random, jobs for this guy. By far my favorite is once he paid me $350 cash to drive to downtown LA to find him the perfect pinata, aka a donkey that looks like a unicorn, aka an ugly unicorn. He was also very color specific. Had to be a specific mix of every color, but no red. I'm expecting an all-day hunt, but if you haven't been to downtown LA, let me tell you, it must be the pinata mecca. Massive warehouses back to back, taking up whole blocks where you can browse any possible variant of pinata. Buzz Lightyear pinata? Got it. Sex doll style pinata? Got it. Giant snow globe pinata? Got it. Donald Trump's head pinata? Got it. I found the pinata I was looking for within 10 minutes. Browsed some more for my own curiosity, then brought the pinata back to this guy's house. The whole thing took maybe an hour and a half. Got paid in cash, then had the pleasure of watching this guy hang the pinata in his living room where he wanted to whack the crap out of it alone. His reasoning? No clue, but I got paid, baby. Well, let's be honest, most artists out there probably have something wrong with them. A classmate of mine paid me to watch her sleep to make sure she wasn't sleeping weird, with drooling, mouth open, constant moving, etc., because she was moving in with her girlfriend. I got paid $75. It was worth it. Man, I guess you really can just pay people to do anything you want them to with enough money. I guess the only weird thing I get paid for these days is just, watering the lawn. You know, being neighbors with my grandparents, they like to pay me to water their lawn because they're too old to even be walking around outside much anymore. So, like, pretty much every night at, like, midnight, I just go outside with the hose, just spray it all over the lawn for half an hour. And for some reason they insist on paying me $25 an hour for it, so I guess I'm doing alright.